Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the MultiDimensional MD. I'm Dr. Arlene Dijamco, integrative physician, pediatrician, and cranial osteopath. And as always, my mission is to help bring the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that you can access deeper healing and experience more peace, love, and joy in your everyday lives. So today I have a very special guest who is a dear friend and colleague of mine. It's Dr. Maria Coffman, and she is the author of Booby Traps, uh, a book of bras, breasts, and bands. So it is an amazing book that just released. And the reason we became friends was because we like to look at things differently. So even within the osteopathic profession, we love to look at the energetics of things, the multidimensional aspects of things, the mind, body, spirit aspects. And so this is how we became really good friends. And so we are going to dive into this topic of not just breast, but overall health a little bit differently. So before we get into that, I just want to introduce you more properly to Dr. Maria Coffman. So I'm going to read a little bit about her and also about her new book. So she is a 1995 graduate of Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine. And Dr. Coffman has experienced an osteopathic medical career that resembles a jungle hike through the mountains, emerging on clear, sparkling shores. Her early career focused on emergency medicine and further developed her resourceful nature and acute care skills. So we get a lot of experience here with Dr. Coffman. It's not just like metaphysical energetics, but we get acute health care and her emergency medicine background as well. In 2001, she founded Hands on Health Osteopathic Medicine and began to treat the chronic effects of injury and illness while continuing to transform the practice to include prevention of both acute and chronic health concerns. Careful to incorporate intuition in every step, Dr. Coffman accepted the notion to write and illustrate for others what she has been treating and teaching for several decades. As a mom of three, she loves keeping up with one very fast teen, two self-sufficient young adults, and energy-filled grandchildren. She and her husband, David, live in Missouri, where they nibble wild plums and other tasty things. She relaxes with art, acro yoga, grandchildren, and being in nature, preferably all at the same time. So that is a nice, wild background for you, Maria. And now I want to just introduce her book for you, because this is on the back cover of her book. So, what happens to your insides with a bra strapped to your outside? Booby Traps, a book of bras, breasts, and bands, weaves a never-before-seen look at under things. Follow an osteopathic physician as she guides an adventure from the history of modern bra wearing to how to choose the best bra for the job. Surprise, nature is often best. Browse tips for choosing the best bra for the occasion. You wouldn't wear your prom shoes to run a marathon, and healthy ideas for alternative bra-free first layers. Discover how to reduce restrictive clothing and still feel polished in public. Dr. Coffman shares her decades of experience observing everyday women in everyday bras. Through a skilled and intuitive lens, she describes the effects of restrictive bands on women's bones, heart, lungs, breathing, mental state, and even pressure on the pelvic floor. Along the way, explore interactive instructions to help you determine what fits and why using healthy parameters of breathing, heart function, physical mobility, and energy flow. Finish with self-care exercises to improve your whole health, including your breasts. Booby Traps, a book of bras, breasts, and bands, illuminates the undercover world of clothing to help you choose your best health. So this is really fascinating. So we're going to go over with Dr. Coffman first some background to the book and why she wrote it. Exactly what do bras and bands do to our bodies, not just the breasts, but our overall bodies? How would you properly measure for a bra? And do we wear a bra or not? What are our options? And she has brought props. So if you're on able to see the video, then I would say once she takes out the props, come on here because it's gonna be really fun. So, um, so Maria, I'm gonna call you Maria because that's how I know you, but Dr.
Yes,
Coffman,
Arlene.
Maria, why did you write Booby Traps, and what makes this book different?
I really wanted to kind of fill in a gap of breast health as part of the whole. So my background is definitely in osteopathy. I'm an osteopath, and we're always looking at the wholeness of the person. Um, and people would say, "Oh, so you're a specialist?" It's, yeah, I'm a specialist in despecializing. I really want to integrate and keep all the parts of the body as a whole, the mind as a whole, and all of this, as a whole. So I felt like I researched first to make sure no one else had written this book, and I didn't have to do it, but it wasn't out there. So I said, okay, I can do this one. My patients for years had asked me to, teach them more and more about what's going on when they're fastening this pretty tight band around their vital organs. And for years in the office, I realized that as soon as I touched on the topic of the bra, it didn't matter what the woman had come in the office for, everything stopped, whether it was her foot pain or the asthma or the back discomfort or headaches. As soon as I said something like, when I might feel down their back and say, could we loosen this while we're working? Maybe you could leave it looser for the day. You could add a bra extender and so forth. Honestly, it was just everything dropped to them. And they're like, my bra? Help. I don't know what to do. It hurts. It does this. I can't get fitted. And over and over and over, I had probably three women, who did not have any issues with their bra. They weren't wearing one. And this went from a mid-80s-year-old retired biologist to a college student, and a homeschooling mother in the middle there. So I went, just kind of ran the gamut of all these different backgrounds, and they had already found their solution, which was, oh no, I don't do that. And they had different solutions of how to, how to appear fully dressed in public, or get around things and so forth. So aside from them, everyone had a bra fitting problem. I'm tall, they said. I don't fit well. I'm short. They don't fit me well. I'm overweight. They don't fit me well. I'm underweight. They don't fit me well. I've had children. I've had pregnancies. They don't fit me well. Did they fit before the pregnancy? No, but it's worse now. It was, I don't know. I've had surgery. They don't fit well. I had surgery to augment or surgery to decrease, and it was over and over. They've had other surgeries on their chest wall with scars, and scars are painful to have this clothing on them. So I thought back to my teenage years when my very wise parent, my dad, said to me once, when the world just wasn't looking quite right to me for a few days, and he said, if everything's wrong around you, it might be you. Thanks, Dad. That was a little rough, but if every woman has a bra fitting problem, it might be the bras. It might be the way they're fitted. Mm-hmm. So I do touch a lot on that in the book, and sort of the backgrounds, and I give it just so we can feel a little bit awake and validated. It's like, oh yeah, obviously, but also so that then we have that information that we can go forward with and say, okay, so here's what we've got, and here's what we are, and how can we make the best match of these, and and sometimes it's sort of like shoes. Maybe just don't really need to have them on all the time. You probably shouldn't sleep in them, and
This
We
brings
wear
up
different.
so many questions, like, just even talking about, like, bra, no bra. I'm like, "I know we're getting to it," but I'm like, this just brings up so many questions to me, just, like, from the social, cultural aspects to, like,
Yes.
why do we wear them anyway then? And how why do we have everyone start, like, as soon as they start going through puberty or even before, you know?
Oh,
So
goodness.
I know we'll start to we'll flesh those things out, but, you had told me this story about a radiologist who had looked at
Yeah. Yeah. So, of course, there's experience in the office. Like, I'm really seeing like deformities in the chest
uh-huh.
wall. When a woman lies down flat, face up, the chest wall looks. I'm going to get the camera correct here. Here's the head. Here's the tail, and the ribs go along, and then zip and flip, and dip and flip out. That's bad lighting there. And men's chest walls, most of them go kind of smooth, and then it drops where the belly is, or goes up where the belly is, depending how much belly there is. But the chest wall, the ribs are smooth, but the woman's goes here and dips. And I was like, huh, that's
The
interesting.
ribs themselves are literally getting pushed in.
Yeah, and then flare back out to the lower, very very lower edge. There'll be this constriction, a crush, and a flip out, even if I have them take their bra bands off, and so it's deformed. And yes, right, we're having our our girls put on a training bra as soon as possible, or they're requesting them because someone else has one, and so they feel uncomfortable without um, having this thing,
Yeah.
So between all of that, I met up with one of my classmates from medical school. Had not seen her in 20 years or so, and saw her at an osteopathic meeting. And they said, and she said, "Yep, I'm doing a second residency, an add-on residency to do osteopathic manipulation and get boarded." I said, "Oh, that's amazing." I said, "What are you going to do for your paper?" Because we all have to do this paper or research project with our residencies. And she said, "Well, I'm a radiologist." I said, "Yeah." She says, "So I put myself in an MRI with and then without a bra. Then I measured the deformity of my heart and lungs." And it was one of those stop and drop on the floor moments. I was like, of course it's deforming the heart and lungs and the diaphragm and the great vessels, the aorta, the vena cava. Oh my gosh, the phrenic nerve. I was like, oh my gosh. I started thinking of back to anatomy class and actually being able to visualize and see within the body. Um, and I went, well, what happens when we squeeze down the lungs? It's like a scar. Uh, so what the bras feel like to me as an osteopath when they're on and cinched is it feels like a removable scar. Um, it affects the flow of energy on the surface of the body that we can measure with lots of different things. We do that with EKGs, we do that with EEGs and so forth. So we know that there's an electrical flow along the surface of the body and also deep through the body. It disrupts that flow. If we add wires and of course the metal hooks and strap bands and so forth with metal, the metal is also affected by the electrical fields in our homes and workplaces, which sprays and changes the electrical field. Give me just a moment here.
And when I'm curious because you said the radiologist had done measurements with MRI, with a bra, without a bra. So in terms of what you were observing, were those kinds of deformations or compressions, were they immediately, like, did they immediately smooth out after the bra was removed? Or, like, what were you observing?
Just a moment here.
Yeah, 'cause it's because apparently, I guess maybe for the radiologist, there was a difference with the bra, without a bra, but if someone's been wearing something that's not fitting them properly for a long time, then what you're saying, like, "Oh, it felt like a scar," so it could start to set in a bit more.
Right. And
That's what I'm thinking.
when the bra comes off, quite a bit, there's quite a bit of change immediately. You're correct. There's some immediate change, and then there's some really chronic changes that can change. I'm always very optimistic. These can change, and I've
Yes.
seen people remove these and over time start to smooth out that rib chest wall, and so forth. But there, I think there's really some chronic change that's going on with that. So if we think about a child's soft rib cage, and now we're looking at like 9-year-olds with wearing bras, and often they want a sports bra, a compression bra. First word, compression. And we put that goes on that soft rib cage, and then the rib cage is designed. It was never designed to be held in one spot like a mannequin. We breathe, and for an adult my size, I once played around with measuring, and I got a 4-inch difference between my full exhale and a full inhale. So if we look at that, the bras can't do it. So the fabric can't do it. And so if we take a 9-year-old child and put a strap around their middle, and they grow and grow till they're 9.5, 10, and it gets a little loose, so they keep wearing it. They think it's loose. It may or may not be. And they keep growing, but that section of ribs is really restricted. And it gets trained. So we call these things training bras. And I'm thinking, what exactly are we training? We're training the rib cage to be able to handle a cinch down bra band. I thought it'd be beautiful to be in nature, ladies, but the wind picked up and the pollen got me. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. We know that around here too in Georgia. It can be pretty high count. And I'm thinking so when you say like their ribs are restricted, and I know this like osteopathically, but I want to be able to kind of like unpack it more for people. Like, so what does that do to the body? So, I mean, maybe their breathing's a little restricted, but they feel like they're getting enough oxygen. So what else could happen? Like, what might be some signs or symptoms that the bra is not fitting you well, or the band or whatever you're wearing?
I think the first thing is if you take it off and you take a deep breath immediately and go, oh, something was happening.
Which people do, like I know many women, as soon as they get home, it can come off, or you
comes
change
off.
into clothes that are more comfortable.
It comes off at the door. So many people tell me that, right? I mean, probably 90% of women that I talked about bras are like, oh, I don't wear one at home. It comes off immediately. I was like, what are you doing all day, though, with the 8 to 12 hours that it's on? But I'm certainly happy that they know to change that. But wouldn't it be great if we had an option that was healthy all day? That's really what I'm looking for.
Yes.
I think that's what we're all looking for. Okay. Yeah, there are a few times when we might sacrifice our comfort and health to dress up for prom, and plan for a few hours like that. But it's sort of like the prom shoes or the banquet dinner shoes. They look great. You can maybe get in the room with them, and then pretty soon they're off and slipped under the table. This should be like a 2-hour max once a year thing, not a daily practice of that a woman needs to kind of push through and suffer through this discomfort and change to her heart, her lungs, her respiratory function, her diaphragm, this big sheet muscle in the base of the thorax and abdomen. And what does that do to the pelvic diaphragm? A lot. I'll share that one. I think I was going to read to you one little piece, but with the scarring idea, if you kind of continue that theme, the inside of the rib cage, the thorax, where the heart and lungs live, has a negative pressure compared to the outside air. So it's kind of it has a suction, has a little vacuum to it. It's how we breathe. It's how that when the diaphragm drops down, flattens, contracts, and drops down, and our mouth or nose are open, it automatically helps us suck in air, it pulls it in. When there's a scar, let's say someone maybe had pleuritis or pneumonia in the past, or an injury to the to the chest and chest wall and lungs. If there's scarring in the lungs, what we'll feel is less lift given to the abdominal organs. Let me step back I'll retrace my step there. So we have this negative pressure that causes some suction in the thorax. In the belly, we have all these organs kind of sitting around in their fluid. There's a little bit of fluid in there, and they sort of sit and float about. The liver itself, if we took out a liver, it weighs about 7 pounds, plop one out on a scale. But in our body, this amazing little microcosm, the liver functions at about 3 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we know that our liver functions around 3 pounds, and we can imagine that if it didn't have the lift, sucking the abdominal organs up and providing lift, that it would feel that like 7 pounds. Take a big solid 7-pound liver and let that slide down against the intestines, against the uterus, against the bladder, the pelvic floor. A lot of pressure there that's not able to lift. So I talk about the bra feeling like that removable scar because I have felt men and women with history for scarring in their lungs or changes or density in the lungs, and it will feel a certain tug and pull through the abdomen and the abdominal organs. And when that's treated with visceral osteopathy, sometimes that improves quite a bit. But the bra scar can just be taken off. Just, osteopathic fix on that is, take that off. And use something that's more physiologically compatible. That's compatible with our anatomy, compatible with the way we're made. And it's a trick. My young friend who's in London now, my young Swiss friend, I talked to her about bras and like, hey, do Europeans like their bras? And she said, it's always a compromise. Yeah, you can go without one, you compromise this or that. You put one on and it compromises this or that. And you try a different one. It's always a compromise. You either get the lift or you don't get the lift, or you get that you can breathe, but you can't do that. And it's very fascinating.
Well, now I'm starting to think it's like, oh, okay, if anyone has bladder issues or even digestive issues, and then the breathing, like not being able to breathe, it can bring about like feelings of anxiety. So none of those things would necessarily, people don't necessarily make that direct connection to, oh,
Right.
my bra. So this is really an enlightening way to look at things. It's such a needed perspective because the solution can be relatively easy, and it's just removing something that's not allowing the whole body to breathe in a way, which kind of brings us to like, so what do we do? How would you properly measure for a bra?
To preface that a little bit is if a person wants to read the book or the ebook, look at why, how bras are made and what their desired function is by different bra makers or different styles, and then we kind of know what what we're up against and how to do this. But what I really want to tell people is just don't worry about the numbers on the tape measure. Just throw out the tape measure. Go and pick up a string. I have a cord. And, here we go. Yeah, pick up a string, a bigger string, and get something you can mark the string with. Place the string around your body where you think the garment will go, which would likely be below the bust line, maybe at the bust line, maybe above. Might even measure like over the shoulder if you want to get from the bust to your back and you don't want it to sit up here. You want it to sit lower, wherever. Make a few measurements that are actual real measurements. Now, when I say that, we're already compromising our body because this is a living body. It breathes, it moves, it functions, it pulses, it has a heart. So we want a couple different measurements. One like the full expansion of the lungs and the rib cage. One at maybe the lowest. You might decide that, things, different body shapes, sometimes a really full bust with a tiny rib cage will have trouble wearing a bra that's just right under the bust line, and a longer bra would work better, like a long line, because you can wear it more compatible with the ribs breathing. They can take a deep breath and let their breath out, and the breast doesn't slide out from the cup. Because they're like, it slides out. Not good.
Yeah. It's interesting you said, don't, forget the numbers, just use a string, which,
Use a string.
which I get it because it's, because I've ordered bras before where it's the same size, and I was like, "This feels completely different." And, which is the danger to online ordering, which I know you're gonna say, "How could you possibly fit a bra by ordering it online?" Kinda like shoes.
No, it's just like shoes. I'd say that in the book even, we've got to they get around it with make it useful by having the free returns, so you can try a couple sizes, and they know it's an issue. Well, I come from a time when bras and shoes were both fitted, with someone who had like training in that. And
So would you take the
Yeah.
string and you would, put it along the line of the bra to make sure it was big
Yeah, so
enough,
go
but
ahead
then
and measure
also that has
yourself.
elastic, like when you take a big breath, you have your 2 measurements. One, how is it when you're not taking a deep breath, and one, how is it when you are taking a deep breath, to make sure it has enough give to it? Like, is that what you're using with those measurements?
Somewhat. It is a compromise. It's not gonna be perfect, but we can start with that. The issue with elastic is that it's elastic. It wants to recoil to that size all day. So basically, I don't really like elastic, because if it's big, and then it really breaks down quickly too. So people might get something that kind of fits, it breaks down on its own, and now it's sliding off and so forth. So, but as a general rule of thumb, go ahead and measure with the string. Find out how long the string is to go around your chest, and then go get a bra, straighten the bra out, and see, is it long enough to go around your chest? Just start there. That's a big start with it.
It sounds like common sense.
It's so common sense, but it's not what it's not what marketing has gone through to share with what the bra might not do.
And then how do you decide the cup size then?
I do put in the book a couple of different ways to measure. One was from a professional designer from Germany who lives in the States now, and she has an over-the-hill measurement and this and that, and that could be a start. A lot of bras now are being made without cup size, so they're just being made in small, medium, large, extra large, and it's a little tricky. But yet I think people might be getting a little better fit because the measuring is quite a trick with it. So I don't really recommend trying to get to that too much with it. What I'll show you is some of the things that are going to make things a little challenging and how I get around them. So we'll just try to hold this thing up. I try to keep a few specimens around for these occasions, right? So here we go. A pretty classic t-shirt bra, this one would be called. And if I could lay it up flat. So here's what you see. You see the cups, and I've got it fastened in the back right now. And you see the cups, and they go all the way out to the side of the bra, right? And then we turn it around, and there's the back of the bra, and the back goes from the cups, from one cup on this side to the other cup. If we go to the side of the bra, there's the side of the bra. There's that much room for heart and lungs. Does that make sense? So they're always on hangers. It's like you see the front and you see the back. I was like, what about the side? don't we have sides? Don't we have rib cages? And the tricky thing is, and it's set up as though it's not there. So it's really meant to kind of cinch down and flatten the chest from front to back. So all you have is a cardboard body and breasts on the front. That's difficult. So in general, the back is generally just much too short. A quick fix, an easy fix is to put in a bra extender. Where did that go? Here it is. Here's one that I've dyed with coffee. So it's just a white extender that's been dyed and dripped with coffee. So it'll have several little hooks in length and one to fit into the back of it. That only fits, it works with a bra that has a back hook, of course. They come wider and so forth. But the compromise, again, is that once that goes in, the bra straps are now going to be farther apart in the back. Right? That's why I kind of like this bra in particular. So then we've got the straps here, but when we put that extender in, now the straps are going to be wide. And the next thing people have trouble with is the bra straps falling off their shoulders, right, in general. So a little tricky. This one has that little extra fabric to set in like this. So it actually tolerates an extender pretty well. That's something one could look for. But it does make things tough. If we go into a bra that's, this is a super, super soft thing that has the option of putting a little foam, which I don't promote foam, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. Polyurethane foam outgasses through the life of the polyurethane right into the open holes at the end of the nipple. I think about these things. So it has the option of slipping a cup in there for shape and for nipple coverage. But you can see this one doesn't have any clasp on the back. It's just like a little t-shirt that would go over. It is more of a spandexy thing, so it can cause a little bit of cling, a little bit of light compression. And you wouldn't want to wear it all day because you want that lymph to move, but most people will find that that's a lot more comfortable to start with. And then I just need to help them know that their lymph is still being compressed if they take it off and can feel a difference.
So in terms of like if in an ideal world, do we wear a bra or not? And I know you showed us some options. And then, I mean, what do we do in this modern world too? And to deal with like acceptable clothing and styles and
what are we to wear? Yeah, it gets a little tricky. But it can be done. So ideally, I do believe we were created with everything we kind of need. And then as we go through life, sometimes we need some different things. So if we want to sprint on the track team and run, during that exercise, that movement, it could be really uncomfortable for a woman or young girl to have a lot of movement with her breast. And it could be uncomfortable for the audience as well. I've been there. And in that case, wear a breast brace. Just know that it's a brace and take it off when you're done. At least have a release valve. That's what I call a back clasp, Make sure it has a release valve. Camera's over there. And, pop that off and get some breath at the end of that race or that run. I don't think those should be worn all day long. Some people say, "Oh, I wear a sports bra. It's so much more comfortable." And they'll say they wear it loose, but they take it off and there's a big dent in their skin. I'm like, well, that's really changing your lymphatics and your blood flow, your breathing flow. So just like if you need a brace, put a brace on. Take it off when you don't need it. If you have a certain item, maybe everybody has to wear that same white t-shirt for some event. okay, well, do the nipple coverage because we don't want to, entertain more than necessary. Go ahead and wear something that maybe a t-shirt bra is going to be right for that occasion. Other times, what my patients have shared with me, I need a little moment of water. The retired biologist just pulled out the hem of her undershirt and said, "No, I just wear an undershirt." Perfect. The homeschooling mother of several always wore lots of darker prints, little that were seemed to be to her style or her taste. But the print needs to be. You can figure out, what can camouflage and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And it can help to camouflage extra movement as well as nipples and cold weather. I live in the north, so this is something that women tell me. They're like, "Yeah, it's really." They say, "I try to wear a lighter weight bra or not have one, or then my nipples show up and they think it's for them, but I was just cold." And it can be a real trick. So some prints and patterns, layers, things like that.
It sounds like anything, it's a balance. It's like, what are your needs? Even like what's acceptable in whatever situation you're in, and make do with the best choices you can make given the situation. And that's really all we can do with any choices that we make.
Life. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just nice to know that we have some choices. I think folks many times will just grab that first thing in the morning and put it on and off they go. So
I would love, you have such a great writing style, and I don't know, it was really fun for me to read, and like when we talk about these things, there can be also some humor to it too. But I would love I would love for you to read an excerpt from your book and share that with people.
Okay. I would love that. Let's see. Okay. This is chapter 12 of Booby Traps. And it begins with Master Chow, who was in our introduction. This chapter is Tight Bands, No. Master Chow is surveying the room. Headbands, belts, arch support socks, memory yarn hosiery, and wristwatches cannot escape his gaze. He approaches, bows again while tapping the offending object. I'm sorry. Smile, tap, tap, bow, smile. Poof, it's gone. A tap, tap here and a tap, tap there. He backs to the center of the room to address the class. The hands wave back and forth in a gesture of boundary. Tight bands, no. His bright black eyes scan our faces for understanding. Satisfied, he nods approval, and class begins. Good morning, class. Today we will learn to look for the dangers of circumferential bands, beginning with the head. Starting soon after birth, hairless babies are often adorned with stretchy ornamental headbands. Baby girls are the subject of flowered headbands and baby boys with tight ball caps. These are to be discouraged on the spot. Babies' brains are growing at a surprising rate every day. A baby's skull is made up of membrane and cartilage and is forming fast as well. How's that? You wanted more? You're so lucky.
No, I love that. I love that chapter. I was like, when you said, tight bands, no, I was like, oh, I know where this is going. Yeah, and it is hard because I mean, with so much of like the athletic clothing and women's clothing, so much of it is restrictive and meant to compress, but we have to balance that with also making sure that we have an opportunity to release. And if we are wearing those clothing, to like give it a breather, give ourselves a break from it and not be in it 24/7. So yeah, I feel like this is just the start of our conversation now, because there are so many aspects of this to talk about, but just the idea that breast bras and bands have more to do with our overall health than just breast health is a huge take-home point. And for any women out there, if you are experiencing any anxiety, any breathing issues, even any like digestive issues or pelvic floor issues, bladder issues, I mean, the list goes on and on. It's like anything that has to do with inflammation and drainage issues, because that has to do with our breathing. Then to consider, like, is my bra fitting me well? And to learn more about that and the effects of bras, sports bras, bands, other constrictive clothing on your health, then I would highly recommend to pick up a copy of Dr. Maria Coffman's book, Booby Traps, a book of bras, breasts, and bands. And I'm going to drop the link in the comments and also in the description so that you can order it directly. It's a great read. It has tons of great graphics. You can get through it pretty easily, and it has so much information. And so it's not your ordinary book on breast health. And it's true, I've never seen a book written quite like this on bras and speaking it from this perspective, which now I start to think, I'm like, well, you need to create a company that makes cute bras that are functional and allowing the whole body to breathe, so that we're not wearing these things that we have to wear that are also possibly compromising to our health. So I don't know. We'll plant some seeds for the future.
Next project, right?
No biggie.
Thank you, Arlene. It's been a treat.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Is there any way that people could connect with you? And do you want to mention your website or any other way they can contact you?
Facebook at the moment, and my email would be fine. Maria Coffman at iCloud.com. MariaCoffman at iCloud.com.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or comments, like, please leave them below. We would love to hear from you, and we'll get back to them as we can. And we would be happy to come back here again and like delve into like specific aspects of these more. So thank you so much for being here, Maria. It's really great to see you.
Thank you. Always a treat. It was great to see you. Have a great day.
And if anyone would like to connect with me further, you can on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics, and on my website, allworldshealth.com. You can sign up for my e-love letters. I send them out about once a week on Wednesdays, and I would love to hear from you. So please like and subscribe, connect with me, and connect with both of us somehow. And I hope to see you again next week on Wednesday for another episode of the MultiDimensional MD. So I believe in you, and I hope that you believe in you too. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Take care.